Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kukuyo. Thanks for joining me this evening for Dharma Sunday, where we take canonical Buddhist teachings and tie them with daily life. The title of today's talk is Christian Sin versus Buddhist Defilement. Before we begin tonight, however, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. Recently, in the comment section of one of my videos, I was asked if I could discuss the difference between sin as it's understood in the Christian context and defilement as it's understood in the Buddhist context. And this is a wonderful question because on the surface, it seems like they're the same. They're actually, however, quite different in very important ways. So that's what we'll discuss today. And before we get into this, I want to make it clear that I'm not here to disparage or cast down anyone else's religious teachings. However, I do believe strongly that if we aren't able to explain our own beliefs fully and completely, we shouldn't have them. In other words, if I, as a Buddhist, cannot explain clearly why Buddhists believe and practice the way we do, then I probably shouldn't be wearing these robes. So my goal isn't, again, to cast doubt on anyone. It's simply to explain Buddhist practice so that we can all come to a clear understanding of each other. Now, in order to do this, we first need to understand what is the job of religion. Why are we here? Why do people become priests and monks and ministers, etc.? And from my view, religion is here to answer questions that we can't find questions to anywhere else. What happens when we die? What does it mean to live a good life? What is the cause of evil in the world? And it's this last question that we'll be focusing on today. Now, from the Christian perspective, the cause of evil in the world is original sin. And the doctrine of original sin is fairly simple. Adam and Eve were the first humans created by God. They lived in the Garden of Eden, and as part of their covenant with God, they were told they could eat from any tree in the garden except the tree of knowledge, which they were told not to touch. However, they disobeyed God, they ate from the tree of knowledge, the covenant was broken, and they were cast out from the garden. Now, the weight of their transgression, however, the weight of their sin, did not stop with them. It was passed on to their children. We see this in the story of Cain and Abel. They were brothers, they were the children of Adam and Eve, and in order to reestablish the covenant with God, they were expected to make sacrifices. Cain gave the sacrifice of vegetables from his garden. Abel slew and sacrificed one of the animals from his flock. Abel's sacrifice was accepted, Cain's sacrifice was rejected, and in his jealousy, Cain killed Abel. So in this we see the continuation of original sin, which started with Adam and Eve. Now, the doctrine of original sin has biblical support in several places, including Psalm 51:5, which states, "I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." We also find it in Romans 5:12 through 21, which states, "Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because we all sinned." So just again, reasserting the notion that because Adam sinned as the first man, his sin was passed on to all of his descendants, including you and me. Now, that said, the term original sin, as it's used today, was first used by Augustine of Hippo, also known as Saint Augustine. He lived from 354 CE to 430 CE. And his teachings influenced the writings of Protestant reformers like Martin Luther and John Calvin, who said that original sin robbed us of our free will, so that we were always inclined to sin even after baptism. This differed, however, from the Catholic understanding of original sin, which said that baptism wiped away original sin, and afterwards it was only our own sins that we had to come account to with God. So for Christians, evil is a product of original sin. Buddhism, however, takes a different approach. We understand that evil comes through defilements, and more specifically through our attachment to said defilements. Now, to understand how this works, we first have to understand that in Buddhism there is no creator deity. We believe that the universe has always been here, and the universe will always continue to be here because something cannot come from nothing. So the fact that something exists would suggest that something has always existed. That said, just because there is no creator deity, that doesn't mean that our universe does not have laws that we need to abide by. The law of gravity being a good example. If I jump off of my garage, let's say, deity or no deity, it's probably not going to feel good when I hit the driveway. So according to Buddhism, our job is to understand the nature of our reality so that we can interact with it skillfully in a way that relieves suffering both for ourselves and other people. Now, to understand how we understand reality in the Mahayana tradition, we can go back to the teachings of Vasubandhu and Asanga, who were Yogacara Buddhists, and they stated that our reality was created through the 8 streams of consciousness. Now, first we have sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. These are our 5 senses, plus mind is also a sense or a stream of consciousness in Buddhism. And what I mean by streams of consciousness is that the ordinary understanding of reality is that there is an object and a subject relationship. So I, the object, am here. The subject is over there. You can't see this. I'm looking at a bucket right now that I was using earlier. And I'm looking at the bucket. The bucket is separate from me. However, according to Buddhist understanding, our reality co-creates and interpenetrates one another. So I am seeing the bucket, and me seeing the bucket makes the bucket exist. And the bucket being seen causes me to exist. This is true for not just sight, but all of our senses. Okay, this is why Buddhaghosa famously said, there is suffering, but there is none who suffers. There is hearing, but there is none who hears. Because we are not separate from reality, we interpenetrate and we are co-created by it. So we have the 6 streams of consciousness on one end. On the other hand, we have the Dharmakaya, also known as the storehouse consciousness. And this can best be understood as the universal Buddha. Okay, so we have our 6 senses over here, we have the universal Buddha over here, and they come together to create manas, which is the illusion of a separate self. This is why I have a feeling of me-ness. This is why you have a feeling of you-ness. It's the Dharmakaya coming together with the 6 streams of consciousness to create manas. Now, because we are created both by Buddha, the universal Buddha, and our streams of consciousness, sight, sound, hearing, etc., our nature then is both defiled, that means it's changeable, it's illusory, it's also pure, meaning that it is Buddha at the same time. We are Buddha and we are not Buddha, all at once. Now this begs the question then, what is our original nature? Are we defiled beings trying to become clean? Or are we pure undefiled beings who just lost our way along the path? And this is an interesting question because, like I said, the universe interpenetrates and interconnects everything with everything else. So our defilements are created by Buddha, and Buddha creates our defilements simultaneously. So we have to make a choice. And as Buddhists, we make the choice of believing that our original nature is pure and undefiled. In other words, we are basically good. We are Buddhas who have lost their way along the path. We can think of this like a mirror. Now, a mirror, by its nature, reflects everything that comes in front of it. However, over time, mirrors accumulate dust. Not because they're good or bad, just because that's the nature of living in the world. So we, understanding this, we have to clean the mirror if we want to see our face in it. It's the same thing with us. Our original nature is pure and undefiled. However, it gets covered over with those defilements, those changeable aspects of the world, the things we see, the things we hear, taste, touch, etc. So we have to come through every now and again, and we have to wipe away the dust from our minds so that our Buddha nature, which comes from the storehouse consciousness, can become apparent, can manifest in the world. So what is a defilement? It's simply something that is not Buddha, something that is changeable, something that is illusory. Not good, not bad, just something that potentially can lead us astray. We can think of this process in the same way that we think of gold. This analogy is used in the Lotus Sutra, that we all have a nature of gold, but gold has defilements. It comes out of the ground as gold, but mixed in there's silver and zinc and copper, and it has to go through a smelting process in order to be purified. According to Buddhism, we are the same way. We are pure and undefiled, and at the same time, we have defilements. We have greed, we have anger, we have ignorance. And then our job is simply to go through the smelting process of bowing, of chanting, of meditating, sutra study, etc. So those defilements can be removed so that we can be pure gold. This can best be understood as Hongaku, or the teaching of original enlightenment, which is central to Mahayana Buddhism. We find this in Zen through the practice of silent illumination. We sit still, we sit quietly on the cushion without moving, and all of that noise, everything we see, hear, taste, touch, etc., that distracts us from our Buddha nature, it falls away. And only thing that's left is that pure, undefiled mind. We also see this in Pure Land Buddhism through the teaching of Nembutsu, where we chant Namu Amida Butsu over and over again, pointing ourselves to that pure, undefiled mind and away from all of those distractions that come through our senses. So I want to make it very clear, defilements necessarily aren't a bad thing, they're just a distracting thing. We are all distracted. And evil, as it's understood through the Buddhist perspective, comes because of our attachment to those distractions. Money is a good example of this. It's neither good, it's neither evil. I mean, it's pieces of paper at the end of the day. And if we understand it as simply tools, a piece of paper we use to get through the world because we live in a capitalist society, then it's fine. But if we're attached to money, so much so that we're willing to steal it, so much so that we're willing to kill others for it, that's where evil comes from. A misunderstanding of the nature of reality. We think money is the important thing and not enlightenment. So how do we go about this purification process? How do we remove the defilements from our mind? Which is something we have to do continuously. We're always seeing things, tasting things, touching things that cover over our Buddha nature. So how do we get past that? Well, we purify the three mysteries of body, speech, and mind, which are how we create karma in the world. Remember, we are creating and we are created by our reality. We also co-create that reality at the same time. We are subject to the karma of others, and we also create karma ourselves. So we create positive karma through our body. We purify our body through right action and right livelihood. We purify our speech through right speech. We purify our mind first through right view and right intention, and next through right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Now, if you've been practicing the Dharma for a while, you probably recognize those things as the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism. We're told in the fourth Noble Truth that, I'll just recite all four. So, life is suffering. Suffering is caused by desire. The way to end suffering is to end desire. The way to end desire, the way to end attachment, which causes evil, is through the Noble Eightfold Path. We break our addiction to sense pleasures, and as a result, evil is removed from the world, joy and happiness are created. Life gets better for everyone. We can think of this kind of like taking a shower. If we don't shower for a long time, we develop a pretty unhealthy body odor. It's bad for us. It's bad for the world around us. But if we shower and we use deodorant, it's good for us and it's good for the world around us. As we remove our own defilements, our own attachments, through Buddhist practice, our lives get better and the lives of everyone around us get better. So a way we can think of our defilements, and I promise this will be the last analogy, something that happened to me this morning. I was speaking with my girlfriend, and she wanted me to look at something on her phone. And I had to do one of these because my glasses were dirty. And I can see without my glasses, but I have to wear them because I have astigmatism. So if I try to read or look at a screen like a cell phone or a laptop without my glasses, I'll get migraine headaches. And I always know when my glasses are dirty when I start taking them off to look at things. They're dirty. They're defiled. They are not the original. So what do I have to do? I have to remove the dust from my glasses to see the world clearly. Defilement in Buddhism works in the same way. It's dust on our glasses. It's dirt on a mirror. It's a natural consequence of living in this world because our world is created both by the Buddha, the universal Buddha, as emanated through the storehouse consciousness, also through our sense pleasures. So what do? As we're caught in the middle, we remove all the dirt that comes through our sense pleasures so that our Buddha mind can come forth, so that we can see the world clearly. If we don't conduct this cleaning process effectively, we engage in evil practices. If we do engage in this cleaning process, however, we engage in good, healthy practices. So, to the best of my understanding, that's the difference between the Christian doctrine of sin and the Buddhist doctrine of defilement. I hope it's helpful. Amitabha. So that's the talk for today. I'll just end with a few announcements. First, if you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. This was Dharma Sunday. We do it every Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It just takes some topic from the news or pop culture and speak on it from the Buddhist perspective. On Wednesdays, we do a practice that's a bit more involved. That's a meditation and sutra study, which involves a 15-minute guided meditation, a reading from Buddhist scripture, again, followed by a Dharma talk. Again, that's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also broadcast from this channel. So I hope to see you then. Until next time, Amitabha.